Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hubbli's onboarding session number 2. So in today's session, we're going to be covering mainly forms as well as calendar events. So I'm going to show you how to create forms, how to assign them to specific groups. I'll take you through that process, and by the end of this, you'll be an expert. All right, so the first thing we're going to cover is digital forms. Now, you'll notice on your site that you have a button on your menu here called Forms. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on that. And really, the whole idea here is that, everything's centralized in one place, but at the same time, it's filtered down based on the user that's logged in. Okay, and also the group that this form is assigned to. So as an admin, you'll see all of the forms on your site here. Okay, but let's say as a parent, the idea is that they're only seeing the forms that pertain to them and to their groups more specifically. So even though we only have one place here for forms and for calendar, this page is actually dynamic in the sense that it's changing all the time. Okay, not for you guys as the admins, but for the parents or for the staff. Depending on who's logged in and what they should and shouldn't be seeing. And I'll take you through all of those settings. So the very first thing that we're going to do is actually create a brand new form together, okay, just from scratch. So keep in mind, we're going to be setting up your forms and creating all of them. That's part of your setup that's included. But at the same time, we really want you guys to master this tool and be an expert at digital forms in case you ever need to create one on the fly, or perhaps a last-minute field trip you want to make a form for that. So that's really the goal for this session here. So the first thing we want to do is navigate to the dashboard. Okay, great. And so we're going to look for forms. And under take us to the page where we can enter in the form title. Okay, and that's the only thing you need here. So, let's say we're making a field trip form. And then, so once you name your form, you can just click Create Form. And so after you do that, it'll take us into a new page, which is actually the form editor or the form builder, if you want to call it that. Okay, so what you're seeing here is basically like a drag and drop editor here. Fields, all different types of fields that you probably have seen before in the past in other forms. And so there's two ways to get the field into your form, which is over here. So one, you can just click on it. So if I click on name, there it is, it appears right there. So the other way is to actually just drag and drop. So if I take address field, I can just drag it in. Oops, and so it looks like it went on top, which is great because I actually want it underneath, so I can show you how easy it is to just drag and reorder as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and build this form. Maybe you don't want the address field in a field trip form, for example, but for training purposes, I'm just going to use our most common fields here. Okay, and I'm just going to click on these as I go. And then I'll fill you in on what these fields actually do, what their purpose is. Okay, so we've got single line text, paragraph text. I'm going to add in a drop down here, as well as buttons. And I'm also going to use this section field. I'm going to drag it right up to the top here, show you guys what that is. And one thing I won't go over, but I just want to fill you in on this, is the page field here. So if you have a really lengthy form, this one's going to be fairly short, but when you do have those long forms, you want to break them up. That's where this page field comes into play. So basically you can break the form into, let's say, 5 different pages, and as the parents are going through each page, you'll see a status bar at the top letting them know what page is at in the form, how much is left to be completed. Okay, so let's finish off with some other fields here. I think we got everything we need. I'm just going to go ahead and add a signature field at the bottom. And by the way the signature field works is that parents can sign digitally with their finger if they're on a mobile device, tablet, or phone. And if they're on the computer, they can use their trackpad. If they're on a laptop or if they're on a desktop computer, they can actually use the mouse to sign. So they're definitely not limited in how you can sign. Okay, great. So now let's go back up to the top. And I'm just going to take you through these fields here. So first we've got the section field here. Personally, I like to use this just to break up the field into sections. So for example, you can parent information section, student information section, or you can actually use it to display just general information as well. So, and by the way, on any field, you can click on it, expand. Okay, I will give you more options. So move the field label here. Okay, this is just another way you can use this field, and actually I'm going to use it as a description. So now this won't get sent out as a notification by email, but it will exist as just some general information on this form when they click on it. So if there's anything to keep in mind, or if there's any instructions on how to fill out the form, you can always add that in a description field. I'm going to close that up. And so there's our information. It's going to appear right at the top. So any field you can expand on. So if I just click in, we've got more options right here. We also have the description field, which you can find in most of the fields. However, like a name, obviously you wouldn't need a description. It's pretty self-explanatory. But what you can do is you can have to say name. This could say parent name or student name, whatever it is. That's how it can work. First and last. Address, not much to know there. I mean, if you open it up, you'll see you can make, like the default your country, and you can also edit the labels here for those default countries, but you probably won't need to touch that one too much. Okay, phone would just be, they would enter their phone number. It's already pre-formatted, so you don't have to touch that. Okay, email. So here's one that's interesting. So single line text. So this is a really versatile field because it can really be used in so many different situations. And one of them, let's say, so this is a field form. So let me open this up. You even use this for a name. Let's just say, chaperone name, or you could say classroom, right? So it doesn't matter what it is. Label field right here. And so this here, paragraph text is almost exactly the same. The only difference is that there's more room. Okay, so it's still a custom field, and we can name it anything we want. Right, so if you want, you can do it like that, and the parents can just write off a list there. Okay, underneath, so I've added a drop down. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but the only thing to consider is the label. So this could be select your classroom, and of course, then you put the options in underneath. You can always add or subtract the options down below here just by clicking on the plus or minus. And so something else that I wanted to mention, you'll notice this on every field actually, is that you can set a field to be required. So let me just reopen this one again. So at the bottom here, you'll see there's a required field. So if I check that off, what happens is you'll see a little red star here as well. But what happens is now if a parent or anyone really tries to submit this form and they don't select a class, it will actually pull up a message saying, "Hey, you forgot to select, your classroom." So, so basically, we don't recommend putting this on all fields, but what you want to do is, pick a few fields that are that have key pieces of information, and then what you can do is just make them required. So that way, you're ensuring that the forms aren't being submitted without all the information that you need. All right, we're almost done here with our building this form. So this one's called radio buttons, one of my personal favorites, and it seems to be really user-friendly as well. So it's really the exact same as a drop-down, it just visually looks different, okay? So it displays the options without click on a drop-down. Okay, so I'll add those. We can also subtract right here, get rid of that one. And on this, it actually has an other choice that we can enable. So if I check off, the user can actually fill in and input their own information, basically like a custom answer. Okay, let's go ahead and use that. So I'm pretty happy with this form now. I think it's got more or less everything we need. And so when you form, what you want to do is click Update Form. And the very first time you click that, so I'm about to do it right now, it will actually publish the form right on to your forms page. Okay, so the page we were looking at originally, and we can also verify that. Okay, and then we go to Forms. Okay, and let's just go look for it now. Sorry, we do have a lot of forms here, and there it is. Okay, we'll get back to that in just a minute. Okay, so just two more things to cover here. So one of them is called conditional logic, okay? And you may find yourself not needing this, but for some of our more advanced users, they really like this feature. And basically, and I'll show you what it does, but basically, on any field, so if you open it up, let's pick one. Okay, so let's open this one up. And if we go to advanced, you'll see enable conditional logic. So what that does, if I check it off, you can basically say to show or hide this field depending on a criteria, okay? And that's usually um, a selection that the user would make. So, and you can pull up any field here. So let's say, show the field if all the following match: classroom. Whoops, sorry, I chose the wrong field. So let's do select your classroom. That's what I was looking for. So, this probably isn't the best example, but I'm hoping you guys get the idea here. So if select your classroom, right? So if they select class 101 from this dropdown, then this field will appear. So if they select 102 or 103, field will not. So that's how you can, kind of get specific with your forms and have certain information display to some users while, other information is hidden to others. So that's the idea here. Um, and of course, I mean, you could even do something with the signature field saying, only show this if they check off I agree to the terms, right? So that would be probably a better example here. And you know what, since we're talking about that, I'm just going to go ahead and remove this condition because I don't really like it, and we'll just add one for the signature field. So I'm just going to add a radio button. And let's just keep it simple. Remove some choices. All right, so like I agree to the terms above. Yes, no. Okay. So now we're going to go to the signature field and we're going to go to conditional logic, enable that under advanced, and just say, show this field if I agree to terms above is yes. Okay, I like that better. So let's hit update, and we're almost done now with our form editor. Let's just let that update. Always best practice to click update every once in a while as well, just to make sure your changes are saved. Okay, so the only other thing that I want to show you guys back here, and then we'll go and fill out the form, is how to assign this to a specific group. Okay, and it's actually right here, so it's really easy to do. You just click on this, it'll expand, and you have all your groups that you've created. And then all you have to do is check in. So you can check one off or you can check a bunch off, but basically if I these three groups off and I hit update, and what that's going to do is it will form available to these three groups, but more importantly, the member of the other groups, so anything not checked off, they won't have access to it. They won't even see the form, so it'll actually be disappeared on their list. Okay. And when you do this, when you check, so if I check off class 104 and hit update, it will actually notify the group. And on top of that, it will post it'll post this form right within the group. So it'll always be on their forms page over here. It'll always be here, but at the same time, and let me show you here. So I'll check this off. We'll do the staff group here. So if I hit update, not only will parents be able to see it if they're a member of that group, of course, they'll be able to see it on this forms page, but on top of that, if they go into their groups, they can always check out the forms that are specific to this group just by clicking forms here. Okay, so there we have it. But on this forms page, just to be clear, this will be a combination of all of your groups that you are a member of, okay? Great, so now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and fill this form out now. So, just like a parent would. So we find the form. You can even post this into their group if you want to give them a direct link from their email, or they can just find the form here and you click on it. Okay, so this is what our form looks like, and as you can see, so the title's already there, so that's why I didn't have to add it. It's just automatically there when you create that form. And this is the description that we use the section field for, and of course, it's got like a little line here just to break it up. Oh, now let's go fill out this form. Okay, I've got some autofill magic going on here. You can always use Google Chrome, it has that built in if you want. Okay, let's list some allergies. And we'll select a class, travel, and as you can see, if I click no, it does not let me sign. If I click yes, signature field pops up, and it will let me sign. All right, so that's great. So let me go ahead and hit submit. Awesome. So that gets submitted, and a couple things happen here that I just want to run you guys through. So one, anytime a form is submitted, the admin of the site, okay, so whoever originally signed up, whatever email address you used when you created the site, that email address will get notified. Just to let you guys know that there's been a new submission from, and it will say the name of the form. So in this case, from the field trip form. And in that email, you'll get a copy of all of the data that was submitted. So it'll just be an exact copy of everything that was submitted. And so it's really important to understand that that's just a copy, and it's not where the data actually lives. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how to access that data so that you can search through it, export it, filter it, and organize it however you like. And at the same time, this message here is also called, so that's called a confirmation, okay? But we're going to get more into that in the next onboarding session, onboarding number 3. So right now, we want to know how do we view those form entries, right? The form is already created and we filled it out, the parents have filled it out, so how do we view the data? So really, really easy. You click on forms, and we just have to know what form we're looking for. So we know it's the field trip form, and we want to access all the data, and you can do that right from the front end. You don't even have to go to the dashboard. So all you have to do is hover over the form, and you'll notice that View Entries appears. So you can go ahead and click on that. And of course, as the administrator, you have access to all of the entries, okay? Whereas parents won't be able to see other parents' entries. Okay, so this is what we call the view. You can call them entries, data submissions, or, whatever you want to call it, but this is where the information lives. Okay, so you can see we've got, like a little snippet here on the top. We can also expand, okay, to give us more information. Classroom, transportation, so all that's here. But on top of that, we can take it one step further, okay, and we can click preview full entry here. So when I do that, and this is, by the way, basically the same information that comes through in the email, but if I ever just need to pull up an emergency phone number or, you know, and at the same time, all of these fields are actually searchable. So they're entirely searchable, and I'll show you what I mean. Right, so at the top right here, we've got this search field. Okay, so you can even search peanuts, and all of the children that have that listed as their allergies would show up. So let's say we search for John, and it's like, oh, no entries match your request. But if we search for Zach, and you can see the name I filled out, so it's searching that field. But again, it's not only the name fields, right? You can search for, so if I search peanuts, it still shows up here. So you can search for any field that was. Okay. Now what if, let's say you forgot to fill something out. So for example, classroom right here is not filled out. So that's fine. We can always go back in and under preview entry, there's also edit full entry. So if we click that, it's actually going to bring up a filled out version of the form that was originally submitted. Okay, so it's really cool because we can go back in here and we can edit this. Okay, so let's go in here. Let's say class 201. Let's say maybe, maybe I don't have any allergies. So we can say none. Okay, sign again, and just by clicking there. I like how that looks, so let's click update. Okay, at the top you get confirmation letting you know it's been updated, and then we can close out this window. And if I go ahead and hit refresh, so now we can see that classroom is updated and the allergies right here. Okay, so and I definitely recommend using this search field because it's very responsive and it will just pull up your entry that you need really quickly. Okay, so now, what if you guys need to export this data into Excel, for example, or you want to export certain information but not everything? So there's a couple options here. So one, since we're already here, you can actually just click XLS right there. That will give you like a quick export, okay? And it'll give you just what you see here. But for most people, they want to get a little more advanced. Or a custom export. And again, go into Excel, just if you ever needed to do any advanced filtering or add any formulas to anything for reports. So we need to go find forms and import/export. Okay, and so we're already on export entries, which is perfect. And then all we need to do is select the form. So here it is, field trip form for onboarding training. Okay, and so here it'll pull up all the fields. Okay, so if you want everything, it's really easy. You can just hit select all. Okay, that'll grab all the information and you can just hit download export file. You'll get a file saved right to your local hard drive. On top of that, so if you don't want all the fields, obviously you can just select, like parent first, last, phone, email, classroom, allergies. Sure. So if you hit that download, then it will export with just those fields, okay? And then if you want, you can also, get a specific date range as well. So if you just want the entries from September 1st to the 30th, and then you hit download, so that will just give you a very specific range. So you do have a lot of flexibility here when it comes to exporting the information that's being submitted from your forms. Okay, so now that we're all experts on digital forms, we're going to talk about, let's move on to events, okay? So we're going to talk about calendar events, work. Actually, they're very similar to forms in a way, so let me just go to the front end here. And let's click on the school calendar. Okay, so this is our calendar. Now, I mentioned it was similar to forms, and the reason it is because it's also a completely dynamic page in the sense that the events here are filtering down, so every user is going to have a different view depending on their groups that they're a member of. Okay, so if I'm a staff member and I come to this page, I'm going to see all of my staff events appear on this page. Now, we'll also see public events. So I'm going to show you guys how to make a public event versus a private group event. So, for some of our customers on the custom package, the public website, that's really helpful for them because they can give access to public users for their events, right? But they won't be able to see the private events because they would need a login to do so. So, and again, just like the forms too, you can always see group events specific to the group if you actually visit the group here. So if I go to, any one of these groups, I can click in on and see the events for just the staff group. So that will just give me only one group's events. But if I want to see all of my events at once, right, just for my own groups, I can just click on calendar at the top here. Great. So now let's go ahead and create an event. I'm going to go back to the dashboard for this. So first we're going to create a public event, and you'll notice under events here, you can just go straight to add event. Okay, so really, really easy to create an event. You only need two things, and then you can hit publish, and then you got a public event. So the first thing would be the title. Okay, I'll make that pretty obvious here. And then you also need the date. So title, date, and time. So I'll make this on Friday. And we're going to select Friday again. If it's a one-day event, you just select the same day. And you can add a time here if it's time specific. If not, you can just click no time, and you can check off no end time. Okay. Now, all we have to do is hit publish. That's it. Easy enough. Let's just verify that I've done everything correctly. And to do that, we will go back to the calendar, and we're going to hit refresh. And there it is. So we have our public event displaying right here, September 23rd. And we can even click in on this, and that'll take us to the event page. Now, there's not much here right now, but that's because we didn't add anything. So on this page here, where we made our event and published it, so you can actually add information here. And you can also add media. So if you want to add pictures, from last year's event, or if you want to add your school logo and write a nice message in there, definitely we encourage you to do so. Okay, I'm just going to insert some pictures into this post, but I think you guys get the idea there. Okay, and then if we hit update, it's going to add our information to that event page. And so we can just verify, we'll click on public event, and we should see those images. There we go. And on top of that, parents can actually RSVP and just hit attendings, just so you can get an idea for attendance numbers. If you don't want that on, you can actually turn it off just by changing this event status from open to archived. Okay, the event will still show up, it just won't have the RSVP options. Okay, we are moving right along here. So that's how we create a public event. Okay, and again, just to recap, anyone who's not a registered member of your site, if they go to that, they'll be able to see this event. So generally, what you want to be doing, though, is making private group events. Okay, so those events are specific to just your registered members that are already at your school, and they've already been given a login, so you know that it's all secure and that it's all private just to your. So once you've created your groups, you can easily add an event to a group. Just like you do in forms, you're going to scroll down, and under at the bottom right here, it says make this a group event. So if we expand that, it'll let you choose from your groups. Okay, so I'm going to use the staff group onboarding training, and I'm going to hit. Once I do that, just something to be aware of, they will send out an email to the members of the group letting them know about this event. Okay, now that is something that if you guys would like, we can turn that off. Or, it's just something to keep in mind if you wanted to add a whole bunch of events, maybe you want to do that before the members are added to the group. Okay, so either or, there's no right answer there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit update. And what that's doing now is it's hiding this event from everyone except those who are in this group here, staff group onboarding training. Okay, so it's hidden from the public now, and it's hidden from even your school unless they're in this group. Okay, so now let's go ahead and verify that because it's always good to be sure. And actually, what I'm going to do, I'm also going to change the name to private event. Not that it matters because it would still be private now. Perfect. So yeah, the only thing you need to remember is that if this is checked off, any one of your groups here checked off, then it becomes a private event. Okay, really plain and simple. So, but let's go to the front end here. I'm going to go to that group just to verify that it is there. And again, it will show up on the school calendar. If I were to log in as a parent, right, or someone not in that staff group, it would not show up to me, but I would see the public events here. So let's go to the group and just to verify once more that it is in fact there. Events here. And so there it is. We've got private event and it's only visible to the members of this staff group right now. Okay, so there's only one more thing to show you guys to wrap up today's session, and that's how to add a private event, but directly from within the group. So as you know, teachers will not have, and they won't need access to the back-end dashboard like you guys. That's mainly reserved for the office admin. So for teachers, they're going to be working out of their groups here. Okay, so it's really easy for them to add an event right from within their group. So, let's say I'm a teacher of this group here. You have to be the group admin. Again, you can have multiple group admins. It's not a problem. All you need to do is click on group events. And then we're just going to hit add event here, right? So parents can click on group events. They won't be able to see add event because they're only going to be able to view the events, okay? Unless they're the group admin, they will not be able to add one. Perfect. So it's very similar to the backend view that we were just looking at. The only difference is on the front here. So let's give this a name. Okay, and we can pick the date. Let's say Saturday. Why not? And the times are there. Those are in 24-hour time, but they will be displayed in 12-hour time. And then we just select the group. So this is actually showing all of the groups that I'm a group in of. Okay, so we just want to select this group right here. But teachers will only be able to see their own group. Okay, and then we just hit publish. Awesome. So there's only one thing left to do to confirm that it got added successfully. And if we scroll down, so there it is. Awesome. All right, so does anyone have questions? Feel free, guys, to write in the chat box. Be happy to answer those now. I'd also just like to thank everyone for joining today's session regarding digital founder events. And as you know, at the end of each session, within the hour, you're going to receive a link to the replay of this recording. So you'll always be able to access it. We host all these on YouTube as well. If you ever need the link or you can't find it, just email us at help@hubbli.com and we'll send that off to you, no problem. All right, well, thanks so much, guys, for joining today. It's been a pleasure. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, just send in a ticket or an email to help@hubbli.com. All right, guys, take care and have a good one. Thanks so much.